Welcome back, everyone, to this explainer breaking down the 2026 Czech Grand Prix. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through this because, honestly, this has arguably been the most pivotal weekend of the season so far. We are looking at a race that literally completely reshaped the championship landscape. We've got massive pre-race drama, an unforgettable three-way battle for the win, and a huge shakeup in the standings. So today, we're going to break down exactly how the tide turned at Brno.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the turbulent Brno GP opening. Second, our main race digest. Third, the main race results. And finally, number 4, the latest point rankings.
Right, let's get straight into Section 1, the turbulent Brno GP opening, high stakes and scorching heat.
So to really grasp the gravity of this race, we have to look at the massive shockwave that hit the paddock before the lights even went out. Seriously, what happens to the championship when the absolute points leader is banned from competing? Well, that was the harsh reality for Aprilia's Marco Bezzecchi, following an incident that actually escalated into him slapping a track marshal. Yeah, you heard that right. Bezzecchi was suspended and completely removed from the Czech GP. This unprecedented penalty basically blew the 2026 title fight wide open, suddenly handing his rivals a golden opportunity to close that gap.
And compounding all that immense championship pressure was this wild number right here, 50. That represents the blistering 50 degrees Celsius track temperature. To put that into perspective, that's about 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The air temperature was sitting around 31 degrees, creating just a brutal test of endurance out there. At a highly demanding circuit like Brno, which is famous for its dynamic elevation changes and those ultra-fast corners, this scorching heat meant tire management was absolutely everything. Managing the wear on those Michelin tires, specifically trying to control the front tire pressure and temp, became the ultimate technical test for literally every single engineer and rider on the grid.
Moving right along to Section 2, main race digest, a three-way battle for supremacy.
So, with the championship leader completely out of the picture and the track practically melting under them, this 21-lap showdown evolved into one of the most thrilling three-way battles we've seen all year. And look, we absolutely cannot talk about this race without highlighting the absolute masterclass put on by Ogura on the Trackhouse Aprilia. Ogura hit some massive, historic milestones this weekend. He secured his very first Premier Class pole position, and he did it in serious style by completely smashing the all-time Brno lap record. Plus, he became the first Japanese rider to take a Premier Class pole since Takeaki Nakagami way back in 2020. His Saturday performance was, honestly, nothing short of spectacular.
Let's move to and see how this battle dynamically built throughout the race. Right off the line on lap 1, Ogura translated that historic pole into an early lead, brilliantly holding off the charging Ducatis. But by lap 2, sprint winner Pecco Bagnaia took charge of the pace, leading the pack and carefully managing those critical tire temperatures we talked about. The tension just held there for over half the race. It wasn't until lap 15, with just 6 laps to go, that Marc Marquez finally launched his decisive winning attack. It was just a perfectly timed strike.
Ogura ultimately finished in an incredible second place. That's his career best result, and actually the first podium for a Japanese rider in the Premier Class since 2012. But his raw competitive edge was super evident in his post-race reflection. He stated, "If I could do the same race again, I would push from the beginning." That just goes to show how much he's growing into a genuine threat at the front of the grid, right? He knows he had the pace, but in that extreme heat, the veteran timing of Marquez ultimately won out.
Now, the contrast in fortunes across the factory garages was pretty stark this weekend. While Ducati executed a strategic masterclass, overcoming Aprilia's recent dominance and seeing both Marquez and Bagnaia manage the race just perfectly, other manufacturers faced absolute heartbreak. For KTM, Pedro Acosta suffered a devastating technical breakdown on the very final lap while fighting for crucial points. Just brutal. Meanwhile, Yamaha endured a double DNF, with Alex Rins noting the bike's behavior became completely unpredictable, which unfortunately led to crashes and technical failures for both him and Fabio Quartararo.
Okay, bringing us to Section 3, main race results, the final standings.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how insanely tight this finish was. Marc Marquez took the victory for Ducati Lenovo, but just look at that gap. AI Ogura crossed the line a mere 0.421 seconds behind him. It was a true nail-biter, right down to the final corner. Pecco Bagnaia rounded out the podium just over 2 seconds back, and he was followed incredibly closely by Fabio Di Giannantonio on the VR46 Ducati. We also definitely have to acknowledge a very solid top 5 finish for Joan Mir, which brings some much-needed positive momentum to Honda.
Finally, let's get into Section 4, latest point rankings, the geopolitical shift.
Let's look at exactly how this race completely rewired the championship landscape. Despite taking 0 points this weekend, Marco Bezzecchi somehow clings to the lead with 180 points. But look right below him at Jorge Martin in second. Despite struggling with setup issues all weekend and dealing with a double long lap penalty lingering from Hungary, Martin salvaged a 9th-place finish. And that was enough to cut Bezzecchi's lead down to just 8 points. Meanwhile, Di Giannantonio sits solidly in third, proving that Satellite Ducati is a massive threat. But the biggest mover here, without a doubt, is our race winner.
So the crucial point is how drastically the gap has closed at the top. By capitalizing entirely on Bezzecchi's absence, Marc Marquez has now won 2 consecutive races, Hungary and now the Czech GP. By taking the maximum 25 points today, he has slashed his deficit to the leader down to just 40 points. He has officially transformed from a championship dark horse into a prime, undeniable contender.
And Marquez's own mindset shift totally confirms this new reality. After the race, he openly admitted, "I thought I was completely out of the title fight a month and a half ago." Overcoming physical handicaps, integrating into the factory Ducati team, this victory wasn't just about the points on the board. It was a massive psychological reset. The veteran champion has officially reawakened, and he smells blood in the water.
Which leaves us with this final, absolutely thrilling question. With the leader's advantage almost entirely erased, Jorge Martin right on his bumper, and a reawakened Marc Marquez charging hard from behind, who is going to seize control of the second half of this 2026 season? The championship has been completely reset, and the momentum is shifting wildly. Assen is up next, and the title fight is officially wide open. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you guys after the next race.